Okay, it's 6 o'clock, August 23rd, 2013, and it's time to call to order this public hearing for budget and tax rate special meeting of the Board of Trustees of the San Felipe Del Rio CISD. We have a quorum, correct, Mr. Overfeld?
Yes, sir, we do.
Let the record show that a quorum of the board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. At this time, if you'd stand for opening ceremonies. First, a moment of silence. And now the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay, that brings us to the public hearing portion of this meeting. Public hearing for the budget and tax rate. Ms. Yannicani Valdez, CFO, being our presenter.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, board members. Everybody should have a copy of the presentation before them. And we also have copies of the presentation for the public. We'll begin. I'll start presenting the 2013-2014 budget for San Felipe Del Rio CISD. The contents of our presentation for the public hearing are the district vision and goals, 2013-2014 highlights of our budget, the budget legal requirements, property tax information, general fund budget, debt service budget, child nutrition budget, the executive summary, and the refined average daily attendance, and then we will open it up for any questions. The district vision and goals were recently adopted on June 17, 2013. The district vision, the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, provides a safe and nurturing environment where all students become contributing citizens prepared to compete and excel in an ever-changing world. The district goals, in particular goal number 2, is the district shall be a good steward of the community's resources, financial, human, facilities, and explore new opportunities for organizational efficiency and effectiveness. The budget highlights. I'd like to start off by mentioning that we're presenting a balanced budget in all 3 of our official budgets. We're presenting a balanced budget, which is a very big highlight. This budget includes a step increase. There's a lot of focus on instruction included in this budget. It starts off with new chief instructional officers for secondary and elementary, instructional coaches at each one of the campuses in the district, ELA and writing positions, bilingual and math certifications, dedicated planning protocol periods, and early literacy initiative. We also are beginning this year with a focus on safety, a one-to-one computer initiative at the Del Rio Freshman School, where each one of our students will receive a laptop. We still offer free health insurance and life insurance for our employees. Our health insurance fund is still a positive fund balance, and this within the course of this last school year, our life insurance provider was able to go out and conduct RFPs for a reduced rate. which what we were able to do was increase the life insurance that we have currently as a benefit for our employees from $10,000 to $15,000, and at a very minimal cost of a difference of about $200 a month. We're also integrating the TASB salary study for hourly staff and also include student drug testing. The budget legal requirements. Legal requirements for school district budgets are formulated by the state, the Texas Education Agency, and the local district. I'll read the highlights of each of the points. The superintendent is the budget officer and causes the budget to be prepared. The budget must be prepared by August 20th. A public meeting must be held to present the budget, and with 10 days notice, minimum of 10 days notice in the newspaper, and we did publish it on August 11th, but we also published it on an additional date, which is August 18th, but our first initial was within the 10 days, and it was August 11th. We also posted a summary of the proposed budget on the school district's website, and this was the proposed budget that was presented on August 8th at the second budget workshop that is on our school district website. Our funds are spent according to the adopted budget, and it is prepared in accordance with GAAP and state guidelines. Continuing with the legal requirements, the budget must be legally adopted before the adoption of the tax rate. And the approved budget must be posted on the district website until the third anniversary of the date that the budget was adopted. TEA also has additional requirements for school district budgets. The budget must be adopted no later than August 31st. Minutes from the district's board meeting will be used by TEA to record adoption of the budget and amendments to the budget. Budgets for the general fund, food service, and debt service fund must be included in the official district budget and must be prepared and approved at a fund and functional level. A school district must amend the official budget before exceeding a functional category, which we do that on a monthly basis throughout the year. And filing of the amended budget with TEA is satisfied when the school district files its audit report or its annual financial and compliance report, which is filed every January for the year that we've completed the audit. On property tax information, the total tax rate for this budget is 1.1724, and it's broken out between maintenance and operation of $1.04, and there is no change to the maintenance and operation budget, and INS, or interest and sinking, of 0.1324. Our total tax rate is below our rollback rate, and our rollback rate is 1.180068. Our 2013 certified property values that we received in July are as follows. Our assessed value was $2,203,397,609. Our freeze adjusted taxable value is $1,415,546,931, and our frozen taxable levy is $955,248. We are mandated for our tax collections to be at 98% for our maintenance and operation. And we also do a comparison of the average tax bill for the average residence. As you can see down below, based on our certified values, our average market value of residence is $90,243, which is an increase to prior year of $1,706. Our average taxable value of residence is $57,194, which is an increase to prior year of $1,364. Our taxed rate is 1.1724, which is a reduction to prior year of 0.07 of a cent. And the taxes due on an average residence, based on our certified property values, is $671, which is an increase, but it's an increase due to the increase in property values, not due to our tax rate. The general fund budget. The general fund is our main operating fund of the school district. The most significant sources of revenue for the general fund are state funding and property taxes. The general fund portion of the tax rate is $1.04 per $100 of taxable property value. The 2013-2014 budget revenues are $75,442,389. Expenditures, $75,442,389. And our projected fund balance for August 31st, 2013 is $44,200,715. Now, this fund balance is projected based on our July financials, and our final reductions for the 12-13 budget will be on the August 29th board meeting. Our general fund revenue is broken out into 4 categories. Local property tax is 21% of our revenue budget. Local sources is 1% of our revenue budget. And local sources include the interest we earn in the bank, athletic games receipts, driver's ed, tuition, rent. State funding is 77% of our budget. And the state funding this year, based on our latest legislative session, Senate Bill 1, they increased our funding by increasing the basic allotment and by eliminating the regular program adjustment factor. With this change was an additional $3.3 million for our 13-14 budget. And 2% of our general fund revenue budget is from federal sources. This includes indirect cost, SHARS funding, impact aid, and E-rate. Our expenditure budget at a functional level is included over to the right of this slide, and I will touch on the percentages that we have our functional budget at. 60.5% is for instruction and instruction-related services, which is the biggest portion of our budget. 7% is for instructional and school leadership. 12.2% is for support services for students. 4.3% is for general administration. 14.9% is for support services, non-student based. 0.3% is community service. 0.1% is facilities, acquisition, and construction. And 0.8% is other intergovernmental charges. The debt service budget. The debt service, also called interest and sinking fund, is a governmental fund that is used to account for the accumulation of property tax revenues for the payment of long-term debt principal and interest. And the debt service portion of the tax rate is 0.1324 per $100 of taxable property value. The debt service revenue budget is consistent of our local tax collections and the matching funds from state revenue for a total revenue of $4,496,891. And our expenditures are to pay the principal and interest for the debt earned or owed that year with minimal fees. And our expenditures are $4,496,891, which is a balanced budget, And our projected fund balance at the end of this year is $775,671. Our child nutrition budget. The Child Nutrition Fund is a governmental fund that is used for programs using federal reimbursement revenues originating from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The 2013-2014 revenue budgets consist of mainly federal sources, which are the reimbursements, and also include local sources, which is the paid lunches, the reduced lunches, a la carte, parent meals, for a total revenue of $6,275,323, and our expenditures are mainly for the program, which is food service and minimum maintenance in the areas that they use, which is $6,275,323, and they have a projected fund balance of $688,668. The executive summary, or the three official budgets for the school district, again, are the general fund, food service fund, and debt service fund. The total revenues and expenditures for the three budgets for the 13-14 school year is revenues of $86,214,603.65, and the same amount in expenditures. And an estimated fund balance at the end of August 31st, 2013 of $45,665,073.86.
Wow. It's a big number.
Yes. Our refined average daily attendance is a major component for revenue calculation from the state. And this is our student attendance. It is called refined average daily attendance because the state only funds half day for pre-K. And that's the adjustment that's taken from our average daily attendance to become our refined average daily attendance. The budget was based on a refined ADA of 9,732, which, taking our budgets, then converts to a revenue and expenditure per student on general fund of $7,751.83. In food service, $644.80, and in debt service, $462.06, for a total district budget per student of $8,858.70. This is a 10% increase to the prior year. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
I have one. Would you happen to have the refined ADA for the previous year?
Yes, sir. It is, I'm not sure if I have it in front of me. It is in, let me borrow this. It is included in your binder under public hearing, and it is on page 23. They're using the same rate. I'm sorry, I'll wait for y'all to get to that page. We have in here the rates, the refined ADA from 2006-07 to 2013-2014, what we're using. And we're using the same rate on 2013-2014 that ended the year in 2012-2013, since we've maintained a very steady refined ADA for the last 4 years. In order to use some caution, we didn't exceed or predict growth, not knowing whether we would have growth at this time. Any other questions?
Probably will be.
Okay. Well, would you like for me to open it up for the public if they have any questions?
Do you have questions at this time, or can we move on to the public if there's any
question, but I'm so glad to see a balanced budget, you know, because as board members, finance is the most difficult thing for any new board member, or any experienced board member to understand. And it's very difficult to know exactly, you know, the numbers as far as ending fund balance, because I know that we do have some carryover funds that, you know, we will add, you know, when closing all the different programs, and you know, and mainly the general revenue. But I'm so glad to see that the number that shows for revenue and expenditures is the same, because in previous years we had not seen that. That's a positive thing for me. And for your department again, and everyone else involved in making the decisions.
I concur. It's been at least 4 years, according to the executive summaries. And I remember having those discussions with you and Dr. Ackerman, and I'm glad that you and Dr. Rios have really gone and taken that to heart. It looks really good. It's important for planning, certainly,
Right.
to have a fair and good projection of what it really looks like, so I'm pleased.
I remember there was a time when I was first on the board when that fund balance was under 10 million, under 5 million. And now they see that at 58%. That means that the state went broke, we couldn't continue our schools for 7 months. Back then I was very worried, maybe we can't even continue for 6 weeks. But at least that direction go that way. Very impressive.
If there's no more questions or discussion, we'll move on to 5B, which is public comments. And in this portion, if there are public comments that are related specifically to the budget and or the tax rate, we'll hear them at this time. Okay, no comments. All right. If there's nothing else, there's nothing further to add, no objections, then we'll close the public hearing. Okay, thank you, Ms. Valdez.
Thank you.
Okay, close the public hearing, and we'll move on through the agenda into the special meeting portion. Take us to agenda item 9, and this is normal public comments or regular public comments. Anyone signed up, Ms. Falcone? No public comments, no citizens to be heard. That brings us to agenda item 13 in our special meeting portion of tonight's meeting, and that's business and finance. The first being A, consideration to approve the 2013-14 district official budget, including all district pay schedules. Ms. Valdez is again presenting.
Before you, I have placed an updated action A, B, and C packet. When we sent out the board packets, we didn't have all the information. So this is the final information, and I will take you through each of the areas. For action item A is the approval of the district official budget, including the district pay schedules. We will review the 2013-2014 district official budget, updates to the job classifications, the salary schedules, and the stipend schedule. The district official budget, everybody also received an updated memo with these amounts, but I will read it again for this action item. The district official budget, in order to be in compliance with TEA Section 44.04, must be published between 10 to 30 days prior to the public hearing, and this budget was prepared in a timely manner, and the public hearing was appropriately published in the Del Rio News-Herald on August 11, 2013. The total estimated revenues for 13-14 general fund is $75,442,389. And expenditures of $75,442,389, with a fund balance at the start of the fiscal year, estimated fund balance at the start of the fiscal year, of $44,200,715. The food service budget revenue is $6,275,323, and expenditure budget of $6,275,323, with an estimated fund balance to start the fiscal year of $688,668. The debt service budget with an estimated revenue of $4,496,891 and expenditures of $4,496,891, with an estimated fund balance to start the fiscal year of $775,671. The combined, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. The combined district official budget has estimated revenue of $86 million, I knew I said it wrong, $86,214,000, you're rubbing off on me, sir, 604, and an expenditure of $86,214,604. And an estimated district official budget fund balance at the start of the fiscal year of $665,000,000. Oh, Dr. Garza. He's sending me his vibes. $45,665,054. This is the district official budget. The job classifications, which are included in your package, were approved at the last budget workshop. There were some changes since the last budget workshop on the hourly. At the last budget workshop, I had a miscommunication. The warehouse staff is coded to pay grade 2. And the lead warehouseman is the title that we were changing on pay grade 3. I had miscommunicated that everyone is supposed to be on pay grade 3, but it was my miscommunication. There's warehouseman on pay grade 2 and lead warehouseman, which we changed the title to identify the difference of their job titles in pay grade 3. Also, on the paraprofessional schedule, since the district organizational chart was approved at the last meeting, we also have the paraprofessional, the secretaries for the superintendent's cabinets titles that changed according to the cabinet member's title. Do y'all have any questions? That's on page 6 of that packet. On the salary schedules. The first salary schedule included in your packet, which starts on page 7 and runs through page 16, is the administrative salary matrix. At the last board meeting, we approved the job classification for administrative pay scale, which moved all of the superintendent's cabinet and the high school principal into pay grade 8. So with that change, we've updated the matrix to eliminate lanes 9 and 10 that were in there in the past. Since there's nobody on that pay grade, we've taken out those lanes. There are no changes to the following pay schedules that are included in your package, which is the teachers, paraprofessional, chief of police, peace officer, counselor, diagnostician, speech language pathologist, and occupational therapist. Oh, I put therapy, sorry. Librarian, registered nurse, and security. There are no changes to those pay schedules. Now on the hourly, which the hourly schedule starts on page 30. For the hourly salary schedule, we have proposed a 3-year plan where the starting pay would change in order to align to the TASB salary schedule. This schedule that's on the PowerPoint is actually on page 36 of your package. As you can see, this is what the 12-13 salary schedule is for hourly. This is the starting pay for each of those lanes. So for example, the very first lane, and I've included that also, the current schedules. The current schedule is on page 32, and these are also the ones that we reviewed that include the orange color for the ranges within TASB. Our current year schedule starting pay for this lane is $9,051.40, and the proposed schedule, in order to adjust them to the TASB salary rate for that first, for pay grade 1, is $9,159, which is a change to the salary schedule of $107. Now, the changes that I'm discussing up here are the changes to the starting pay of the salary schedule. It is then different on the change of pay to each individual employee because of where they're at in each of their steps in comparison to the new schedules. And I do have that included in your packet for us to review. Now, this is a 3-year, what we were proposing is a 3-year plan. And you can see that pay grade 1 would, with the 13-14 schedule, would automatically start off with the new starting pay for TASB since they were very close on their starting pays. Pay grade 2 would have a 2-year plan, and pay grades 3 through 7 would have a 3-year plan. Do y'all have any questions before I go to the next slide? Or if you'd like, I can continue. Yes, sir.
On our bus drivers,
Yes, I will.
is that 11,000 and 15,000 there? Is that step 1 or step 0? Is that where it starts?
All of these are step 0 for starting pay. This schedule right here.
How many people do we have in step 0 right now? Or step 1?
Let me see if I brought that. Currently, it doesn't look like we have anybody in step 0. But these, if I could explain, the bus drivers had their own matrix that had a completely different starting pay and completely different rate than what the hourly matrix was. Even though they're part of the hourly group, they had a completely different matrix. And in order to integrate them to the hourly matrix and eliminate all of those, we have a lot of extra schedules. And the plan is to integrate them into the job classification group that they're in. In order to do that and bring them into the hourly pay schedule, you can see where the adjustments to that starting pay schedule would be a reduction, but then in the 3-year plan would be an increase in order to align those schedules. Now, on the actual employee side, they will not see a reduction in pay.
So we have no bus drivers or special ed bus drivers that are going to take an $800 or $500 hit on September 1.
No, sir. There's no reduction in pay. This is schedules. And I know it gets a little confusing, but this is where I've given more detail. I'll go into the next slide and then I'll take you through these legal size sheets. Now, also on the TASB salary schedule, which is something that was pointed out last year during the TASB salary study, was yes, we do have a lower starting pay, but our pay schedules had a slightly higher increase in pay, step over step, and our schedules went to step 45, which then it would exceed TASB's recommending ending rates for that type of, job. So the difference that we will see with the new schedules will be, again, an increase in starting pay. However, on a step-by-step basis, for example, using our current schedules, they'd see 282 step increase for bus monitors. And with the TASB hourly rates, it'd be a 270 increase. But that's where the trade-off is. Either we have a lower starting pay and a higher increase, a higher step increase increments, or you have the TASB starting pay and the TASB recommended step increases. It's not, and then I'll take you through this, it won't be a loss of money. And I don't have these on PowerPoint because it was too big. So for those of you that have the legal documents, this is where, if you're looking, for example, at the very first one, we have bus monitor special education. And this is the steps that they're at, and what our current schedule would calculate for a step increase. So if you take the special education bus monitors, for example, at step 2, step 6, step 10, 11, at any step that they would be at, they would increment they would have a step increase of $282. If you go to the next page, that shows the step increase for the 13-14 matrix. Again, same individuals. You can see that, for example, the ones on step 2 would earn, by taking our schedules and adopting these new ones and moving them, according to these new schedules, they would earn $367, the ones on step 2, which is an $85 addition to what they would have earned. Now, this is the merging of our two schedules. This would show you what they're going to make, or what their increase in pay, which would be a step plus an adjustment to be on the salary, on the matrix, TASB salary matrix. And then on the last sheet, it would show you the differences. So for most of the ones that are on the early end of the table, like steps 0 through 5, you see that they're earning above the step increase that they would have normally seen because of the adjustments to our matrix. Now, the ones on the end, that's where you see the negatives. They're over what that new schedule has for that step. However, being that this is an adjustment, they're not going to see a reduction in the step that they would have, in the step increase that they would have earned. We're going to add that money in, and we totaled it up, and it was around $8,000 in order to adjust them to have earned that step increase that they are expecting. Does that make sense?
They will not lose money.
No, ma'am, they will not lose money. We've looked at each individual one by one. They do not lose money.
And this is for the entire 3-year plan?
This is the first year plan, the merging of the two plans.
Okay.
Like taking our employees that are on our current salary matrix and putting them into the new matrix. After that, for example, on pay grade 1, their starting pay within our next year's schedule would already be at the TASB starting rate. So they will see these additional adjustments in the 13-14 school year, but then in 14-15, they'll be at their normal step increase for the schedule. And for the pay grades that are on the 2-year, 3-year, we'll then see those other changes where we're still taking it to a new hourly rate per step, and we'll see that increase above where they were, because we're still trying to adjust to that salary schedule. It's a 3-year plan. I believe, I didn't put it in front of me, but I believe it was about $400,000, the total cost for this 3-year plan. The first year, it was about, it calculated now to about $60,000, and in the second and third years, I'm trying to remember, it was around $150,000, what it would calculate on them not having a step increase, but staying just by adjusting these matrices to be at the TASB salary study, would still see increases. Even if we didn't have a step increase and we brought in these matrices that are included in here for the next 3 years, they would still see an increase because we're increasing those rates.
If I may. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, we implement the TASB salary recommendations for hourly employees. Obviously, some employees would not get as high of a raise by implementing TASB, especially the ones who've been here the longest. But we've adjusted those so they will at least get the same pay rates that they would have gotten had we used the old salary matrix. At the end of, now, in the second and third year, we'll have to come back and refer to last year's salary matrix and again study those individuals as we move forward and see what they have gotten a higher salary raise with the last year matrix. And at that point, we'll have to do the same adjustment of funds provided, but that would be a new budget cycle. And this year, it only costs us $8,000 to make the adjustments. Next year, it's obviously a higher paid a group of people. It may cost us $16,000. It may not, but it implements a salary study, and nobody loses any money or loses any potential raise.
Right.
And I think that it's the best that we could do at this point, and it clearly moves us in the direction that I think the board wanted us to go in.
Well, I want to say thank you for at least looking into it and making sure that our hourly employees are thought of as valued, because they really are, and that they get paid what basically the going rate is for their service. So I thank you for working through these issues, because I'm sure it wasn't easy figuring it out, but I definitely appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
It was fun. It was a learning experience.
It's kind of puzzle.
I bet.
I have to say, I'm really glad I know how to use pivot tables, because that's how I created all of these.
I also want to comment on that, and basically, I remember from the survey, food service, and I'm glad that it's being taken care of. Now, it's hard for me to understand those parentheses, that Mr. Overfeld, again, I wouldn't want for any employee to be,
No.
missing any money from, like, in other words, coming out short from the previous year. So I'm glad, it's still hard to understand it.
Yes.
Because, again, it's, a 3-year thing that we're trying to adjust. But overall, again, the ones that I remember from the salary study, the survey that was done, was food service being one, and then, of course, the mechanics that were adjusted during the year. And I'm glad that, for all the others that are down below, because I think anytime that, whether it's cabinet or administration gets a raise, I think, as Ms. Lozano mentioned, the hourly wage people are the ones that are way down at the bottom, so I believe those need to come first before anybody else does, and I'm glad that it was done.
I do have one question. How is this going to be communicated to those that will be impacted? Because I would expect that the assumption would be that they're all going to get the same amount. So what will we do prospectively to avoid some of the negative fallout from, okay, well, why did she get X amount and I only got $2? Because I know that was an issue that had already been experienced in other areas. So I believe the communication to each individual person has to be clear so that they can understand why it's happening. And I think the communication is going to be key to making sure the resentment doesn't build. And so have we thought that far yet?
What has been done in the past is, well, I shouldn't say the past, my past experiences, is that that we have workshops during the day where we bring in people when they're available and we explain to them, then we give them their individual letter. And I see no reason why we can't do this over the next month. Bring them in and explain to them. I think coordinating the cabinet members will be able to do that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Patty, make a note.
Any other questions?
Just a comment, and we thank you, Dr. Rios, that you took the time with your staff to be able to come up with something like that. It's hard to understand, and when it costs us money, it's hard to be moving people around in one metric to another, et cetera, but you did a wonderful job, and it was just, what the other board members are feeling right now is that we need to make them realize that we're working and helping them, because I know they shop at the same grocery stores, and they don't get any special rates and that type of thing, so it's hard for them, and this is why we want them to, like it was being said, they're valuable to the overall function of the school district. Without them, we couldn't do anything, but at the same time, so we try to help, and that's the bottom line that we think.
Okay, I will continue. That is all for the salary schedules. On the stipends, you also have the stipend schedules included in your packet. Starting on page 38, we have the district-wide stipends. The first group are the group of stipends that will be removed, which is the ESL advocates. At the second budget workshop, we had presented classroom supplies that is being removed. Assistant sponsor. Now, the assistant sponsor, FBLA or Future Business Leader, Family and Career Community the titles are being removed, but they're being added with a more specific title down in the next section. Now, those are CTE related. The Senior Curriculum Coordinator stipend and the Video Tech Board meetings. The stipends that will be added are the CTE organization sponsor, the CTE competitive events, or National Technical Honor Society or VITA sponsor, the competitive and community leadership sponsor, and they've also added robotics sponsor. And with that, also the build up to the robotics program, which is the Lego League and E-Cadet, and the First Tech Challenge. Also, the stipend that was added under the district-wide stipend is a stipend for the instructional coaches at $3,000 for each instructional coach. A revision from the last workshop to now is the mentor stipend. It's being brought back to the original amount. Any questions on the district stipends? The campus organization, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Congratulations on the,
Sorry.
on the stipend added to the robotic coaches.
Yes.
I think it's great. They put a heck of a lot of time. We couldn't pay them enough to do what they're doing, I guarantee you.
Right.
Because I've seen them, they even bring their own lunch and everything to stay out there until 6 o'clock. So that was great. I think it was way,
Overdue.
Oh, yes.
it should have been done years back, but I'm glad.
It sounds
Well,
like good-
we've been in the fact that, 2 years, 3 years, but they done a wonderful job, so.
It sends a good message too, as far as that curriculum and that
Definitely.
focus.
And I guess they're some of the top students that we,
Yes,
the kids that they work with. Thank you.
thank you. Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Just a comment. I guess I'm disappointed that the classroom one went away there for whatever the reasons may be. And just when the average teacher has to shell out more than $400 to $500 of their own money, and we couldn't do that there. I'm sure someone will explain it to me later. But, I'm not happy it went away.
At the last, public hearing, we discussed providing a $125 stipend to our teachers, in acknowledgement of the hundreds of dollars that they spend and that they will continue to spend for their classrooms. It's something that, was asked of, that we consider, and we did. It wasn't for necessarily lack of money. I visited with our, attorney, and I explained to them that we could go about it two ways. That we could go about doing a refund where they bring receipts and we refund them up to $125, or that we give it to them as a one-time stipend. We had discussed amongst ourselves that perhaps the receipts would be a better option because there would be some accountability. Our legal counsel clearly indicated that that would be even less legal because of what we would be refunding the money for, and indicated that there would be a way of providing the $125 stipend as a one-time stipend, but that it would clearly be stretching the envelope of the legal limit. And as much as I wanted to provide that $125 stipend to the teachers, I'm in the business of taking calculated risks, but that one was not a calculated risk. Therefore, I had to make the recommendation that that stipend be removed. I think that as we go through the budget and look at it in its entirety, we'll see that we made a lot of improvements over previous years, but there's also a lot of improvements that are yet to be made. We can't do everything in the first budget cycle, at least that I preside over as the superintendent, but I'd like everybody to know that we will continue to make adjustments as we move forward. I would hope that we'd have open communication as to what those adjustments need to be, so that we're informed up front and we can work on some of these that we maybe haven't thought of throughout the year, so that we can come up with a good plan. I'm excited about what we're proposing today. I am also discouraged about the $125 stipend not being provided to our teachers. But like I said, I'm in the business of taking calculated risks. And based on what the attorney shared with us, that would be well beyond that calculated risk.
Thank you. In continuation, I'm sorry.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
Rios, is there any other way that maybe, between now and the time, next couple of months, you come up with some other way of helping the teachers? Because I think it's important. I think, our teachers spend a lot of money decorating the room, extra things for the kids and everything. And I'm sure that even if we provide anything, they'll probably just keep on doing it. But like you mentioned right now, it shows us trying to help out in some way.
There's two things that we've discussed in terms of helping teachers. One of them involves our newly formed foundation, where they're going to be providing awards to teachers. So I look forward to working collaboratively with the Education Foundation to be able to raise as much money as possible to provide for those other things that we don't provide within our budget. The other part is that, we've been discussing who in our existing organization can assist teachers in applying for grants that would also provide, where they can apply in the block as maybe first grade at Chavita or first grade at Calderon, and apply for grants that are out there that our teachers aren't aware of, that would bring them some of that money. So that's what we've thought about immediately, sir.
You have another comment, Mr. Rincon?
No, I'm good.
The campus organization stipends, these are also from CTE. They were mentioned in the previous page, but we also included them under the campus stipends. The substitute rate schedule, which is on page 44 through 47. We're revising the mechanics rate for substitutes from a starting pay of from an hourly rate of $9 to $10. And on the athletic stipends, which start on page 48. There was two coordinator stipends for middle school athletics added, two soccer assistant high school JV, and two tennis assistant JV stipends. These two stipends also include 5 extra days. And a correction on another stipend was on the assistant soccer stipend. For soccer is an additional 5 days. And on the summer school rates, which are on page 52, there were no changes.
These are hourly rates, correct? On the summer school?
On the summer school rates, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Maybe I misunderstand. This is under substitute rates.
On the mechanic,
On page 46, yes, ma'am. You would have a substitute performing curriculum writing for us? I'm not understanding how that would work. Oh.
On the miscellaneous.
I don't understand that.
I'm sorry, do you wanna,
I was just gonna say, substitute and extra duty
extra duty?
rates.
Yeah.
Like teachers that are doing extra duty for, presenting at staff development sessions. It's not necessarily exclusive to substitutes.
So that should just be under overall, yes. So the heading's wrong.
The heading's wrong.
We'll change that to say substitute and extra
We're
duty.
gonna hire a substitute for, okay.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, any other questions? Okay, that is everything for action item A. I can read the recommendation whenever you're ready.
Any more questions or discussion? You ready for the recommendation then? Okay, the recommendation, please.
The administration recommends the approval of the 2013-2014 district official budget, which includes the general fund budget, the debt service budget, the food service budget, and all the district pay schedules as presented.
Heard the recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Good job, man.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
Item 13B, consideration to approve appraisal roll and tax collection certification by tax assessor collector. Again, Ms. Valdez presenting.
Under this action item, also a legal requirement, the tax assessor shall submit, to the board the district's appraisal roll and showing the total appraised, assessed, and taxable values. And this evening, Ms. B. Munoz is here with us to read her letter, and I've included that also in your packet, which is page 55. It's her signed letter to certify our 2013-2014 appraisal roll.
Welcome, Ms. Munoz.
Good evening,
It's always good to see
everyone.
you.
For the 11th year, I stand in front of you to give you this information, and I am very glad to be collecting these taxes. I have a lot of fun doing this job. And according to the information we gathered from the appraisal district, I'll just go ahead and read this information. The taxable value for 2013-2014 year, $2,203,397,609. and that's minus total exemptions of 654,786,952, and frozen taxable values of 132,915,187. This minus the transfer adjustments that they made of 148,539, equaling 1,415,546,931. And if calculated at the proposed tax rate of $1.17,240, the 2013-2014 rates would be as follows. The maintenance and operation tax, the rate would be $1.04. The interest and sinking would be .13240, making it a total of $1.17,240. When applying these rates, there would be a collectible amount of $14,721,688 in maintenance and operation, and $1,874,184 in interest and sinking. And if collected at 100%, it'll be $16,595,872. In addition to that figure is the gross frozen levy is $955,248. I would collect $847,371 in M&O taxes and $107,877 in interest and sinking taxes. The total M&O taxes to be collected at 100% is $15,569,059, and the total of INS taxes is $1,982,061, making a total collectible amount of $17,551,120. I anticipate collecting about 98% of the collectible amount. And bear with me, we'll do it. Thank you very much.
Are there any questions?
No questions?
Okay, I'll read the recommendation. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the district's appraisal roll and estimates of total taxes collectible using a total tax rate of 1.1724 as presented in the attached certification by Beatriz I. Munoz.
Heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Mrs. Lozano has motion, Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 13C, consideration to adopt the ordinance setting the M&O tax rate at 1.04 and the INS tax rate is .1324. Ms. Valdez presenting.
The ordinance setting the tax rate is included in your packet, which is on page 57. Again, in compliance with Texas Education Code, the notice shall be published no earlier than the 30th day or no later than the 10th day before the date of the public hearing. And on page 58, I have provided to you also what was in the newspaper on August 11th and on August 18th. And I will read the ordinance. August 23rd, 2013. On this date, we, the Board of Trustees of San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District, hereby levy or set the tax rate per $100 valuation for the district for the tax year of 2013-2014 at a total tax rate of 1.1724 to be assessed and collected by the duly specified assessor and collector as follows. 1.04 for the purpose of maintenance and operation, .1324 for the purpose of payment of principal and interest on debts. This tax rate will raise more taxes for maintenance and operation than last year's tax rate. I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of the tax rate of 1.1724 which is effectively a 6.61% increase in the tax rate. Now, that is a comparison to our effective tax rate, not to our prior year tax rate. Such taxes are to be assessed and collected by the tax officials designated by the district. And it requests the signature of the board president and the board secretary. Are there any questions? Okay. The administration recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the attached ordinance setting the M&O tax rate at 1.04 and the INS tax rate at 0.1324.
We've heard the recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands. It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 13D, consideration and approval to re-engage Southwest Securities as the district's financial advisor.
Mr. Victor Quiroga, the Senior Vice President from Southwest Securities, would like to share some information of Southwest Security to the board. In the memo, I have included our school district's history with Southwest Securities, but at this time, I'll introduce Mr. Victor Quiroga.
Thank you, Honorable President, members of the board, Dr. Rios. Thank you for having me here this evening. For the record, my name is Victor Quiroga with Southwest Securities. We've had the honor of representing the district as your financial advisor since 1997. Also with me is Duncan Morrow, who works in our office. And you'll meet also later Dan Martinez. He's with the law firm of Winstead, and they serve the district as your bond attorneys and prepare the legal transcripts regarding the issuance of bonds. Again, it's been an honor to represent the district since 1997. We wanted just to share with you an executive summary here, because I know the last time we sold bonds, there's been a couple new board members, and just to reintroduce ourselves. We started in 1972 with about 6 employees, or 10 employees actually, out of Dallas, and now we're in excess of 1,000 employees, and we're really mostly in Texas. We also have offices nationwide. I'm personally in the office in San Antonio, and we're a very strong, financially strong firm. We're very active, and we're a full services financial firm. The section that I work in is called public finance, and our role is to assist school districts and cities and counties and colleges to serve as financial advisors and help them through the bond issuance process. And really, at the end of the day, our main job is to try to get our clients the lowest interest rate possible on their financing, so you could reduce the interest cost to the taxpayers as much as possible. The biggest sector that we work in is actually school districts here in the state of Texas. Right now, we represent about 1 out of every 4 Texas school district as financial advisors, San Felipe Del Rio being one of them since 1997. And just a really quick history regarding our experience with the district since 1997. We were hired in 1997, and the next year, in 1998, issued the district's first bond issuance in quite some time. That was a lease revenue bond. Then there was an election a couple years later. We conducted those bond sales, and in between that time, we've also, including those 6 transactions, we've conducted 2 refinancings of higher interest rate debt, and those 2 refinancings achieved total taxpayer interest cost savings of approximately $2.3 million. It could potentially be added on to, depending on how you move forward on a couple of agenda items later, to pursue potentially another refinancing opportunity. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
May I read the recommendation?
There's no further questions or discussion?
Okay. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the engagement agreement with Southwest Securities as the district's financial advisor.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Overfelt is motion, Mr. Mesa is second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Agenda item 13E, consideration to approve engagement agreement with Winstead PC as bond counsel.
Mr. Daniel Martinez from Winstead is here to give you some information on what their agency does. Now, Winstead has served the district in the past as our bond counsel and has worked in conjunction with our financial advisor on prior issuance of debt obligations. At this time, I'll introduce Mr. Daniel Martinez.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Rios. My pleasure to be here. I always tell Victor that it's always a difficult task to follow him when he goes first, but I'll do my best. As Ms. Valdez mentioned, I'm Dan Martinez with Winstead PC. We're a full-service law firm out of Dallas. We have over 300 attorneys in the firm. We're a regional law firm with offices all over the state. I myself am in the San Antonio office, and I am a public finance attorney, meaning we do bond attorney work. As Victor mentioned, my boss, who has been a mentor to me, and I'm sure Victor would say the same about his boss, quote unquote. They had the opportunity to start the engagement here with the district back when they first issued the lease revenue bonds that Victor alluded to, and since that time, I've had the opportunity to learn under him and service the district as well. We service all kinds of issuers across the state, as Victor mentioned. Similar type entities, other governmental entities, cities, state agencies, counties, school districts, hospital district, water districts, community college, and the like, with all their debt offerings and related tax matters. I myself had the opportunity to work on this account at least back since '06, I believe, and in that time, we worked with the staff, and some of you have seen me here before, and we've also assisted Dr. Ackerman in her past tenure here in the various capacities that she's held, and also in that transition when Ms. Valdez came in, as well as assisting the district, I believe last time, most recently this year, with some IRS tax matters as well. And so that's our function. We are here again to hopefully have the opportunity to continue to serve you with your bond-related matters. And I apologize, I didn't prepare anything with respect to anything regarding my background or our firm of capabilities. However, I would like to think that, based on our service over the several years we've had, you'll feel confident that we would continue to offer that great service. And I can answer any questions.
Questions from the board? Thank you.
May I read the recommendation, sir?
There's no further questions, discussion? Okay.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve the engagement agreement with Winstead PC as bond counsel.
For the recommendation, I so move to accept. Is there a second? Mrs. Lozano has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 13F, consideration and approval of an order authorizing the issuance of San Felipe Del Rio's Consolidated Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2013, delegating the authority of certain members of the Board of Trustees and district staff to execute documents related to the sale of the bonds, entering into an escrow agreement, a purchase contract, and a paying agent/register agreement, and other matters related thereto.
Thank you. As Mr. Quiroga mentioned, at this time he will be presenting a refinancing opportunity with one of the outstanding obligations that we have in order to show the board, I've included which obligation it is. These are the schedules that we have been including in our budget packages, and the one that the opportunity for refinancing that he will be presented is from the 2000 bond and from the Series 2005 refinancing. That's the one that Mr. Quiroga will be presenting on, the refinancing opportunity. Now, at this time, I'll let him start with his presentation. Sorry.
Honorable President, members of the board, Dr. Rios, first I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to continue to serve you. We very much appreciate it. As Ms. Valdez indicated, there is currently a refinancing opportunity for the district to consider to move forward with. This is with respect to the district's outstanding Series 2005 bonds. One thing about bonds is although they're debt like mortgages and car loans, unlike those type of loans, with the mortgage, we could refinance whenever we want, and just as long as it saves money, and you're willing to incur some of those expenses. But with municipal securities, that's what they are. They're a loan, but they're an actual investment security. And whenever a school district issues long-term bonds, in this case, we issued 25-year bonds in the year 2000. What's standard in the bond market and for bond investors is that the first 10 years of those bonds aren't callable, and that's just a standard feature, meaning that we can't pay those down, we can't refinance them in the first 10 years. Well, with this particular issue, the call date is coming up here soon on February 15, 2014. Under federal law, we could refinance those and close on the new transaction and take those old higher interest rate bonds out as early as 90 days before that date. And so long as we issue bonds in October and close the new financing in November, we should be within those guidelines and pursue the refinancing opportunity that we're presenting here for you this evening. We prepared a very brief presentation regarding this refinancing opportunity. Currently, we're looking at about $18,445,000 that the district has outstanding. If you were to do nothing on those bonds, the interest rate that you would continue to pay on those bonds is 4.59%. Based on current market conditions, the district may have the opportunity to refinance these bonds at a lower interest rate of 3.3%. What this lower interest rate will do, it would generate an interest cost savings to the district of just a little over $1.4 million. Whenever we look at these refinancings, we not only look at the interest cost savings that they're generating to keep the transaction honest and the professionals honest and the district honest when moving forward on these transactions, is we look at that ratio there, the present value savings ratio. That's just a ratio that we use to determine how healthy and prudent this refinancing will be for the district to consider moving forward with. Industry standard and what a lot of our competitors use is so long as that ratio is 3%, then it might be a good opportunity to move forward with. We're a little bit more conservative than that. We'd like to see a 4% PV savings ratio just to enhance the savings a little bit more before we finalize the transaction and lock in those lower interest rates. So right now, we're well above that 4% PV savings ratio. It is at 6.87%. The next item here is, one of the first questions we have whenever we present refinancings is, are we getting these savings by extending the debt like some folks with mortgages do? Well, here, this is just an illustration as to that we're not actually doing that. We're going to keep the terms the same. We're going to pay off the bonds as originally scheduled. All we're doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is just switching a higher interest rate for a lower interest rate, and that's where we're achieving these savings. So you can see here on an annual basis, we're saving approximately $125,000 per year until the year 2025. And this is where we come up with the $1.48 million that we previously showed. Again, now the interest rate that we lock in on these new bonds is going to be dependent on bond market conditions in October. But between now and then, we'll be preparing all the documents if you allow us to move forward on refinancing these bonds. Here's the timetable events today. Basically, we're presenting to you what we call a delegated bond authority. This bond authority is basically just flexibility for the school district to pursue a refinancing and enter in the bond market without having to plan your bond sale around a particular board meeting date. This is a flexibility mechanism that the Texas Attorney General allows school districts when they're refinancing bonds. What this does, it gives you flexibility to enter the market whenever it best suits the district, as opposed to planning our next bond sale around your next board meeting. And so this is a great flexibility mechanism. Basically, what you would be doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is by approving this item, is that you would be allowing us and staff to start moving forward with all the bond documentation required to enter the market and refinance your old bonds, and also talk to bond rating agencies. And we're not going to enter the market, and Ms. Valdez asked us a great question, we're not just going to enter the market after you approve this. We're going to be in consultation with the superintendent and Ms. Valdez before we actually enter the market, get their verbal approval. And basically, you're delegating that authority to sign the final documentation to lock in the lower interest rate to the board president and the superintendent at a future date that best suits the district. And right now, it's going to take a little while to prepare all the bond documents and also talk to rating agencies, but we anticipate entering the market around October 22nd, and it is at that point that we would lock in a lower interest rate, and that's when we would determine how much actual interest cost savings we were able to generate for this bond. That'll set up a closing where we would close on this transaction on November 20th. There's no board meeting required for that either. Everything's just done via electronic wire. The last page here, ladies and gentlemen, it is a term sheet. Basically what this is, it's just a summary of the bond transaction. We're going to set up this new bond issue that's going to replace the 2005 issue at the higher interest rate. It's going to be the same. We're going to make semi-annual interest payments and the annual principal payments as scheduled, and we're still going to pay these bonds off in 2025. Right now, the rating agencies that rate us are Standard & Poor's and Moody's rating agencies. They both rate us at an A1 and an A, respectively. But when we issue these bonds, we're going to be issuing them with the safest bond rating available, and that's the AAA rating. And that's because the state, under their Permanent School Fund Guarantee Program through TEA, they allow us to basically use their credit rating to issue these bonds. And their credit rating is at the highest level, which is AAA. And what does that basically mean? It means that instead of selling these bonds at a lower rating, we get to sell them at the higher rating and therefore get the best possible interest rate for the district. As part of refinancings, it's basically a financing team. We're your financial advisors, and Winstead is your bond attorneys. Also, we would need to have in the team what we call bond underwriters. Essentially, these are investment banks. They're essentially the middlemen, and they buy the bonds initially from the district, and then they try to sell them to their own investors, like State Farm and large mutual funds that buy these type of bonds. Here, upon consultation with Ms. Valdez, we're recommending Estrada Hinojosa to be the lead senior underwriter on this transaction, and the smaller players would be First Southwest and Robert W. Baird. They're both very active in the school bond business, but again, Estrada Hinojosa would be the lead manager and have essentially the biggest share of the pie, and they would be managing the account with respect to the underwriters. I know that's a lot of information, but I'll be happy to answer any questions or regarding this legal item. It was prepared by Dan Martinez, and so if you have any questions regarding this bond ordinance, he's also available to answer any questions, unless you want to add anything else.
No, I think Victor covered everything. I think it's authorized under state law. It allows the district to take formal action at this stage, but delegates that authority to finalize the terms of the transaction at a later date with the authorized representative he mentioned when that time occurs, and we can complete the transaction going forward from there.
Mr. Lozano has a question.
What does it cost the district to move forward with this transaction? Obviously, it's over $1 million savings in the long run.
A great question. I wish more boards asked that. No, boards never heard asked that. They see the big savings amount and they say, let's do it. There are fees involved with the financial advisor, the bond attorneys. We have to pay the rating agencies. We even have to pay the Texas Attorney General's office to review the bond transcripts because under state law, although you have the final authority to lock in the rate and issue the bonds, under state law, the Texas Attorney General has to give the final approval as to the legality of the bond issue. And so that's the final step. So they even get a fee. And so there's fees regarding the preparation of these documents and printing these documents. The total cost of issuance with all the financing team involved, we're looking at anywhere from, on the conservative side, anywhere from $115,000 to about $120,000. The other great question Ms. Valdez asked when we've been talking about this for about a year now, we've been tracking this refinancing, is that those monies aren't expended from your current fund balances or any cash on hand. Basically, that's just rolled into the new bond issuance, but the number you see there, the $1.4 million, that already takes into account any type of expenses related to the issuance of bonds.
That's a true gain.
Yes, ma'am. That's a net gain there.
Thank you.
Anything else? Other questions? Thank you.
I would like to share just an additional FYI. If we would be having these savings of about $125,000 a year, being that we would maintain our same property values and our same state funding, then our INS rate would reduce by approximately half a cent, based on this number. Based on the information we have in front of us. It can change, but just based on that. I wanted to add that just to bring all the information together.
Thank you.
For the following year.
Right, for the following, no, again, this is all in the future. In the future, this does benefit our tax rate. Okay, I will read the recommendation. It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees approve an order authorizing the issuance of the San Felipe Del Rio Consolidated Independent School District Unlimited Tax Refunding Bonds, Series 2013, entering into an escrow agreement, a bond purchase agreement, and a paying agent registrar agreement, delegating to the Board President and the Superintendent the authority to approve all final terms of the bonds and other matters related thereto.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Ms. Lozano has motion, Mr. Chavita has second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item 16, closed session. Now 7:27 p.m. August 23rd, 2013. The Board of Trustees will recess this open session and convene a closed meeting in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D and E. We're allowed to do that under 551.071, 551.072, 551.073, 551.074, 551.076, 551.082, 551.084. Specifically, tonight, pursuant to 551.074, discussion of personnel or to hear complaints against personnel. The first item being discussion of personnel report to include the following: new hires, district vacancies, retirements, and resignations. And 2, discussion of the approval of the principal at Del Rio Freshman School. All final votes, actions, or decisions will be taken in open session. We're now in closed session. Okay, it's now 8:34 PM, August 23rd, 2013. And the Board of Trustees will now reconvene in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, Subchapter D and E. No action was taken in closed session. Brings us to agenda item 17. We are reconvened to open session. The first item for action is consideration to approve the personnel report, including new hires. Dr. McNamara.
Good evening, Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. At this time, the administration recommends the following personnel for employment in our district. Griselda Westlake, Assistant Principal, Garfield Elementary. Miss Monica Luna, Assistant Principal, Ruben Chavita Elementary. Miss Laura Mundy, Math Teacher at Del Rio High School. Mr. Jose Luis Cifuentes, Math Teacher, Del Rio High School. Ms. Soveda Velasquez, Science Teacher, Student Guidance and Learning Center. Mr. Daniel Schlender, Language Arts Teacher for Practical Writing at Del Rio Freshman School. Mr. Manuel Munoz, 7th grade Mathematics Teacher at Del Rio Middle School. Ms. Maria Leticia Gutierrez, ESL English Teacher, San Felipe Memorial Middle. Ms. Flor Almeida Munoz, 4th grade teacher at Dr. Fermin Calderon. Ms. Miranda Gonzalez, 4th grade teacher at Lamar Elementary. And Ms. Erlinda Sandborg, pre-K teacher at Cardwell Elementary School.
Dr. McNamara, we need
Yes,
to
sir.
do something.
Just to have, just complete disclosure, I'd like for you to pull Ms. Monica Luna so we can vote on her separately.
Yes, sir.
She's related to Mr. Mesa. It doesn't violate board policy. She's not within the line. However, just to be clear and give him the option to abstain if he'd like to.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so all those recommendations, except Ms. Luna has been accepted, we'll come back in just a moment. Okay, we've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion to accept? Mr. Overfelt is motion, Ms. Haynes is second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Okay.
Now,
Yes, sir. Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. At this time, the administration would like to recommend Ms. Monica Luna for Assistant Principal at Ruben Chavita Elementary School.
for the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Overfelt has motion, Ms. Lozano has second. All in favor by a show of hands? 6. All opposed? Abstentions? Mr. Mesa abstains.
Thank you.
Motion passes. That brings us to agenda item 17B, consideration to approve the principal at Del Rio Freshman School.
Okay. Mr. Garabedian, Dr. Rios, members of the board. The administration at this time would like to proudly recommend Mr. Jorge Limon for principal at Del Rio Freshman School.
For the recommendation, is there a motion to accept? Mr. Overfelt has motioned. Is there a second? Dr. Keys is second. All in favor by a show of hands? It's unanimous, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to agenda item 19. With no further business before this board, is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Overfelt is motion. Ms. Haynes is second. All in favor by a show of hands? Unanimous, motion carries. Meeting adjourned.